Google and Facebook have destroyed the news business model. The whole point of what Australia is trying to do is to drive a wedge and provide some level of separation between tech monopoly, content, social media platform, and media revenue. They're just going to cede the market. Hey, someone else, Microsoft, here you go. The best thing that Google could do is to stand its ground and actually go through with this. So Australia has said that Google needs to pay news publishers in the country, a portion of ad revenue. They need to pay these news publishers fees. And, we have seen, and we've talked about on the show, we've had Tim Kendall on as a guest. We've talked about this topic from a myriad of different directions, in the sense that Google and Facebook have destroyed the news business model. And the news, while we're seeing just fake news everywhere, while we're seeing the news publications have basically no regard for their own integrity, is that they don't have a business, right? I mean, they're literally lose money, and the only way that they can try to even break even or crunch out a small profit is if they play the game of Google and Facebook. And what's the game of Google and Facebook? Engagement. And you know what those algorithms really like at Google and Facebook? Fake news. Those algorithms love fake news. Those algorithms love that information that's really going to trigger people, get you all riled up, that gets shared, that gets comments, that gets engagement. And what does Google and Facebook do with engagement? They sell ads. That's the vicious cycle, gang. So Australia said, well, we're going to force you to pay these publishers and start to disjoint that vicious cycle by giving the news publishers some ability to have some integrity, right? If they can know that they are not completely beholden, even though the money would be coming from Google, but that money and the way it's paid out is decreed by the government as opposed to the all-knowing algorithm, which loves engagement at all costs, then maybe it's a little bit different story. Maybe these media orgs would actually be able to have some journalistic standards once again. Hey, worth a shot, right? So what is Google saying? Well, we have this program. It's some kind of, joke of a program. Google said here in a statement, we have offered similar deals for News Showcase in Australia, as in France and in Australia, it's not about the money. It's about being asked to pay for all links and snippets, which the EU copyright directive does not. Links and snippets are not the building blocks of free and open web. The difference with this Showcase program that Google has is it allows them to, I think they're maybe paying out like $1 billion over 3 years. Whatever it is, it still allows Google to figure out how much money is doled out and who it's doled out to and how it's doled out, right? The whole point of what Australia is trying to do is to drive a wedge in that and disjoint it and provide some level of separation between tech monopoly, content, social media platform, and media revenue. And clearly that linkage is a key reason why the media is just so bad these days and untrustworthy. And that's not a partisan, it's not a partisan thing on both sides. People just don't trust the news anymore. We talked about that with Tim Kendall, and there's a bunch of data on that supporting that. So anyway, what is Google's response to all of this? Google threatens to leave Australia. And I think rightly so, this article points out, but its poker face is slipping. Sundar is just weak. He really is not very good at playing this game. You can kind of just see right through him. What's Google going to do? They're going to literally leave all of Australia and not get one iota of search revenue in Australia. They're just going to cede the market. Hey, someone else, Microsoft, here you go. I don't know how the Australians would feel about Baidu coming in, but okay, Baidu come in, Bing come in, whoever else, right? Google's just going to cede that market share because the government is going to force them to pay a few $1 billion to the media companies, and they're not going to have control over it. I mean, the best thing that Google could do is to stand its ground and actually go through with this. I don't think they will. I don't think Sundar and the team has the gumption to see this through. And I think hopefully Australia calls their bluff and we see what happens. I do think that the direction Australia is going here is, it's entirely appropriate, and it's probably one of the best. It's probably one of the best in terms of trying to help, traditional media regain some of its integrity. This is probably the best plan I've seen to date. What Poland is doing is also equally just as good of a plan. That's a little bit different. That's more on the censorship side and less about the fake news side. But I actually think in terms of solving the fake news problems, this could be one of the best potential solutions. And we'll see. The stuff in France is very different. That's just more of a pure tax. That's France, the country, wants to make money off of the tech monopolies. This is different. This is about helping media regain its integrity and driving a wedge between this kind of co-opted nature between Google, Facebook, content, social media platform monopolies and their algorithms and media and what the media feeds into the beast. We'll see. I think if Australia sticks to its guns, I think Google capitulates and compromises. What they should do, though, is they should go scorched earth on Australia and they should leave and then see what happens and see where the chip falls. Because the reason why they should do that is because once you see a chink in the armor, you can sure as hell bet you that the EU nations are going to go after a similar media payment structure. And, now the recipe will be copied and repeated. So similar to the unions, right? Union crops up, you kill the store. Australia crops up, you exit, right? You close the store. Tried and true strategy. It's worked so far for unions. And stamping out unions is kind of the same game, but just a little bit bigger. Just a country called Australia, or actually a continent called Australia. But at a very high level, I think it's actually the right strategy. Don't think Sundar has the ability to see it through, but hey, maybe I'm wrong. Let's see what you got, Sundar. Hi, this is Alex from Winner Take All. Thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to leave a comment, ask us questions, and definitely make sure to join us on our next live stream.